Galileo! No, higher. Okay. Galileo! Higher. So, okay. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another new release review. And for today, we will be covering Bohemian Rhapsody. So Bohemian Rhapsody was directed by Bryan Singer, stars Rami Malek, Lucy Boynton, and William Lee. And it's the story of Freddie Mercury and Queen, the band, how they came together, what went through all the way until Freddie Mercury's untimely death. So as you guys already knew, I was extremely excited for this movie. It made it on my list for top 5 most anticipated for the remainder of the year. I've been so excited for this movie since it was announced and since I first saw that picture of Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. The first positive is Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. Holy hell, does he ever embody Freddie Mercury? Now of course, I never knew the man personally, but from all of his onstage performances, interviews, the way other people have talked about him, so on and so forth, he is literally Freddie Mercury. Like, every little thing about him, all the sass, all of his quirks, his singing voice, and he actually had to perform for the other members of Queen, that way he could get their approval to actually do the movie. Definitely an Oscar-worthy performance. Next is the soundtrack, because obviously it's Queen. Who doesn't like Queen? And even if you don't like Queen by some crazy chance, you're gonna know the vast majority of their popular songs and probably every single word to those songs. Everybody knows We Will Rock You. Everybody knows We Are the Champions. Everybody knows Bohemian Rhapsody. Don't Stop Me Now. Another One Bites the Dust. You know all the words to all those songs, whether you like the band or not. The soundtrack, I love Queen, so I was moving. I loved the soundtrack to this movie. And next was the concerts in this movie. This was honestly the closest that my generation, or this generation, or the generation before me, since Mercury passed away in '91, the closest any of these generations will be to actually being at a Queen concert. You can tell at times that it's a bit CGI'd up, adding in a bigger crowd, so on and so forth, but it's really honestly not that noticeable unless you're trying to look for it. Next is something I didn't really expect to see a whole lot of in this movie, and I got a lot more than I thought I was gonna get, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to, and that was just the band overall and the kind of dynamic that they shared. It really seemed like they were pushing this to be the Freddie Mercury movie, and it is for the majority of the movie, but when it is Queen together, it is Queen. It's about Queen, not just Freddie. I loved all of the other members of the band. The characters that they played, the actors that portrayed them, they all did a wonderful standout job. They all had their very own unique personalities, and the thing I really enjoyed was the relationship they shared with Freddie. They all had their difference. There was one of them that just kind of argued with him all the time and they butted heads, but they were still like best friends at the end. The other one that they kind of joked around with, and they were kind of passive aggressive. And then lastly, they had the one that they kind of were like partners, like they were the dynamic duo of the band who came up with like the vast majority of the stuff. So the whole behind the scenes with the band being together, the relationships that they shared, and the band members themselves, I enjoyed all of that so much more than I had thought I would. And lastly, but certainly not least, is this was one of the best finales in recent memory. It is basically just sitting there and watching the whole Queen performance. It's like a 20-minute performance, and it just goes back to, again, my point where the concerts just feel so genuine and so real. It was just, it blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind, and it's something that absolutely like wrapped the movie up perfectly. Like, it left on such a high note that I'm probably going to give this a higher score than I would have if this finale wasn't in it, but it was definitely one of the best finales in recent memory. And at the end of the movie, it does show like pictures and clips from performances, and from that performance, they recreated it to a T. Like, every single last little detail was recreated perfectly in the movie as it was in the actual concerts. And something, the middle ground doesn't really need to be addressed, but I just want to say it. Every single comment that I've seen on other people's videos, on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and whatever else, I don't think I've seen one person that I can remember. I don't think I've seen one person besides myself that said, my favorite Queen song is Don't Stop Me Now. Well, guess what, folks? Guess what song plays at the end of the movie? Yeah, dad can't sing, but that's not the point. And now for the negatives, because every great movie has negatives, does it not? Firstly is that this movie feels very glamorized at times. I know it is a movie, so of course, you know, it's gonna feel glamorized at times, but sometimes it felt just a touch too Hollywood for me. It feels like they kind of skipped out on maybe some darker moments, some things they really could have explored, like Freddie's drinking, or maybe his drug addiction, or some other things like that, or kind of darker moments with the band. At times things just felt a little too coincidental for me. I'm like, alright, come on, really? Like, it was actually gonna play out like that, or like, you know, relationships were mended, or people came together, other things along those lines that, you know, typically you would find in a cliched biopic movie. So it does have those kind of cliches, those coincidences, and it does have that very kind of noticeable Hollywood polish on it. And next is kind of a two-parter. It's like 2 points I want to make, but basically contributing to the same thing, and that's the pacing of the movie, because I felt as well at times it did skip over a lot of important things that I would have liked to explore more. There's moments that I was like, okay, this is getting really cool, this is really interesting, and then all of a sudden they kind of skip to a montage, or they would just kind of show this cool little animation saying like, oh, they were here, they did a performance there, they were here, and just like I said, you get kind of little clips and snippets of different bits and pieces of the story, but then it'll skip like a year or a couple of years, and it feels like at times it's skipping out on moments that I really would have enjoyed seeing. So the first part of that is that, yeah, they do skip through things, but the second part is that the things that they don't skip through sometimes felt like the wrong moments to slow down. It feels like there were other more interesting moments I would have preferred to have seen fleshed out versus some of the moments we got. But it does feel like there were some of those moments where I was like, okay, I don't really see how this contributes to the story or the characters. It just kind of feels like it's happening, and I would have preferred to have seen maybe this conversation, or maybe this part of them making this certain song, or I would have liked to have seen more of that concert, or explore this part of Freddie a little bit more. It did feel like they slowed down at the wrong moment a few times. So with all that being said, guys, I'm going to be giving Bohemian Rhapsody an 8 out of 10. So if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know. What are your thoughts on Bohemian Rhapsody? Would you hold it up as one of the great biopics, one of the kind of meh biopics, or did you think it wasn't very good at all? And as always, be sure to hit me up on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and the Instagram. Links will be in the description and at the end of the video. And as always, be sure to hit up my Instagram page on Fridays for the Fan Vote Friday. The most recent one is currently going on right now, so be sure to hop on over to my Instagram page, click on my story, and vote. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Damn it, I wish I knew how to sing. All these movies make it seem so easy. You can just sing a little.